and foremost for American citizens who need it. That is what
about second? I mean, first and foremost, of course. But
I want the program to exist and be solvent for the people who need it.
Do you realize that when people show up at your hospital, that we actually pay for that? Do you understand that when people get sick,
I know how it works.
How about this? How about this? When the people that are picking your peaches. Yeah, I'm passionate about Americans.
Passionate for the illegals.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to yesterday's news channel where we watch CNN. So you don't have to. Scott Jennings was back in his seat on Newsnight with Abby Phillip on Thursday. While I usually take this opportunity to mock the topic they're discussing, yesterday, Scott Jennings and the woke panel debated over the same subject that every other news outlet was covering. The vicious attacks being lobbed by Donald Trump and Elon Musk at one another. Ah, man, I hate infighting on the right. Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings assist all of us in combating the liberal mainstream media's narratives that I'm sure we'll be hearing for a long, long time. So brace yourselves for it. Oh yeah, and like my thumbnail said, Scott and Bakari Sellers get into it later in the video, and Bakari Sellers, of course, brings up racism out of nowhere, and Scott laughs in his face. It's pretty funny. So anyway, let's go.
$50 billion in value. Now, as for Trump, he's got a bill and an agenda that is now in serious jeopardy. Man, these men, too emotional these days to lead, apparently. It's kind of scary.
Abby.
Is that a bag for you to breathe into?
No, this is what.
Okay.
I'll be pouring this in my Newsnight mug tonight.
Oh, Lord.
Pepto-Bismol is what we all need here in the Republican Party.
I thought it was some Jack Daniels.
They might need that too.
I'm just, first of all, I just want to, I know that we have our differences here sometimes, but if you could give me a little dispensation for the next hour and not beat me to death. Look, here's the deal. The goals.
Well, you don't have to, you don't have to defend either of these men. You could just tell us.
And here's the problem.
What you think
here's the problem. They both have a point. Trump's agenda is in the bill, and he wants to pass it. That's his point. Musk is not wrong about the national debt, and he deeply cares about this, and that's his point. So their goals are not mutually exclusive, which is, I think, the rub. And for all these Republicans out here who, like me, have really enjoyed this coalition, this partnership. I mean, I firmly believe that the relationship and the partnership they formed last year saved America and put us on a path to saving Western civilization. And now this puts that in jeopardy. And so it's not just about the daily policy quibbles, it's about the larger cultural things that are at play. So I'm going to have some of this tonight and hope for better days and better skies tomorrow, because I still love them both, and I hate it when mom and dad are
Go ahead and take a sip of this.
No.
Yeah.
But
Why do you think that is,
Well,
Scott?
The president has more at stake here than just the feud that is emerging today. What he has at stake is his entire agenda, everything he ran on, making the tax cuts permanent, welfare reform, border security. This is his agenda. This is how he won the election. And his control over the party and his influence over Republicans, I don't think is going to be dinged by this feud, but losing focus on the agenda and putting focus on the feud, I think, would be a strategic mistake. And so he's basically got between now and, the end of July, before they break for the August recess, to complete the agenda. There will be substantial changes in the Senate. I don't know what it will all look like, but at some point, in order to get the last couple of votes over the line, it will require an ultra-focused Trump to get the last couple of Republicans on it. And if he's fighting with Elon and not worrying about the details of the agenda, it'll be harder.
All right, we're going to continue.
But I think he's going to continue to rail on this bill. I don't think that's ever going to change. I don't think it changes hearts and minds in the Senate. I don't think it changes hearts and minds in the House.
They have to pass the bill. To me, the question is the next fight, which is, will the congressional Republican leadership, whenever they're finished with the president's agenda, immediately move on to the things that Elon actually cares about? I mean, he does have a deeply held view about the existential threat posed by the amount of debt that we have and the way we spend money. And so that's kind of what I'm interested in next. After they finish the president's agenda, is there an immediate movement by Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune to begin to address what he wants to do, which is drastically make changes.
I mean, that's
Yeah, you know, so my stance is evolving, but as it stands right now, my just general feeling with this whole thing is one of disappointment. On yesterday's video, I said that I was disillusioned by the fact that the only certain outcome of these nasty attacks between Trump and Elon are handing a narrative win to the Democrats and one more thing they get to spin and hang over Republicans' heads. But my disappointment is kind of expanded to include Trump and Elon, because I still believe that both of them are so passionate, angry, whatever else, because they want what's best for our country. I really believe that. I just really wish they'd have these conversations behind closed doors. I think it is a strength of the Republican Party, at least compared to the alternative, that we have the ability to show a united front. Just in general, I have so many thoughts on this about how we need to stay loyal to Donald Trump and how we shouldn't abandon our gratitude for Elon. And I completely understand and support both of their positions. And I've really checked myself on this, and I've determined that I'm not fence sitting by saying all of this. It's just genuinely how I feel. As this whole thing develops, maybe I'll be forced to denounce the actions of one of them, but for now, I'm empathetic to both sides, but also frustrated with both sides. Before we get back to video, I want to talk about something that I think is kind of getting lost in all of this nonsense. This isn't an endorsement of Elon over Trump or vice versa, but it wasn't too long ago that every single one of us were super supportive of Doge, and we were fired up to uncover waste, fraud, and abuse. In the last couple of months, I started noticing that we were talking about tariffs, immigration, judicial overreach, and freaking Abrego Garcia. I started to hear less and less about Doge. And none of us, including myself, that defended Elon's efforts with Doge, even really seemed to ask the question, like, what's Doge up to? Maybe some of the dissent was starting around then. I suppose it doesn't matter. But I still stand by the fact that I want Doge to save money for the American people by cutting a bajillion more unnecessary government workers and finding more boondoggles we're funding. I want to know who's defrauding our government. I want to see them face consequences. I just hope that whatever happens with Elon, however people view him, I hope that Trump supporters and party members express their desire for Doge to continue, because I think it's a righteous mission. Back to it.
When undocumented people show up at a hospital, who pays for that?
We all pay for it.
Exactly.
including
we all
undocumented
pay
people,
for
because
it.
they actually contribute.
That's the point. That's the point.
We do realize that undocumented
Who pays for the welfare system in this country generally? Taxpayers.
And perhaps everyone else, that there's no free lunch here. Okay, you either
for the illegals.
you either have a program.
but they contribute.
Hold on.
Can I make a different argument, though? Can I make one different argument, just so we can kind of level set? One second. Do you know what happens when that happens? That means the pharmacy closes down. That means the little motel closes down. That means the florist closes down. The restaurant. It destroys your entire economy around it.
So by definition,
so many hospitals closed since Dobbs
by
because
definition,
they're afraid of the liabilities.
According to your logic train,
Yes.
we need to let more illegal aliens into the country, give them more health care to
first of
keep all the hospitals
let me tell you what I'm saying.
Are you for it or not?
Can I start my logic train
Are
with
you for it or not?
My logic train starts with
Just-
the fact
just
that
say
I don't
yes.
want to kick 11 million people off
Do you
of
want
Medicaid.
the illegal aliens on or not?
Do I want first of all, do I want undocumented citizens to have
say
health care?
yes.
The answer is yes.
Scott,
Okay.
if someone is
More
undocumented,
Democrats.
do you want them to not get insulin if they're diabetic?
I want Medicaid to exist first and foremost for American citizens who need it. That is
So
what I
what about
want.
second? I mean, first and foremost, of course. But
I
you,
want
you
the
also
program
do you
to
realize,
exist and be
do you
solid for the
realize that
people who
do you
need it.
realize that do you realize that when people show up at your hospital, that we actually pay for that? Do you understand that when people get sick,
I know
or
how
when
it
they,
works.
how about this? How about this? When the people that are
passionate.
picking your peaches, yeah, I'm passionate
Very
about
passionate
Americans.
for the illegals.
Bakari,
No, I'm passionate for
How dare you
Americans.
want people to be alive? How dare you?
Passionate for the illegals.
you
Bring
know-
more.
No, I actually want
But yes,
safe and secure
You
borders.
need more. To make your vision of America work, we need more illegals who get more benefits. That's your version of America.
No, what I want from America is a place that was promised to us, Scott.
To the
Like you
illegals?
do. No, it was promised to us. It was promised to
Us
us,
who?
not us, me and you, black and white, brown. Scott, do you think that your family was
You were
born
born
here?
here.
You weren't born here, Scott.
I was born in
First of
Dawson
all, where does your family come from? My family wasn't born here. My family was actually from Sierra Leone.
You're making
Scott,
you're making
no, I'm
a passionate argument
Correct,
for a
about
country
what our country's-
built on unfettered illegal immigration, and that is not anywhere near a politically popular
Our
position.
country is built on immigration, period.
What kind?
Period.
What kind?
Okay.
Oh, and first of all, before we go to commercial, what kind of immigration was I brought here
You're already
with?
in the hole. You sure you don't want to stop
No,
digging?
because it was slavery. That's not immigration.
Come on.
Well, okay.
Come on, what?
All right, there's a lot to be said. Hold on.
No, but you just can't say come on when somebody's like, my family was brought here in chains. The answer's not come on.
We're gonna.
As far as I'm aware, because you mentioned that your family was brought here in chains, which, by the way, was apropos of nothing they were talking about, doesn't entitle you to an answer. So, yes, come on is a perfectly sufficient response. That conversation went right over Bakari Sellers' head, especially there at the end. I want everyone to really pay attention to what I'm about to demonstrate. There's a very obvious reason why Bakari Sellers completely misunderstood what Scott Jennings was talking about. Because the second Scott essentially asked, how did immigrants come to this country? Bakari Sellers' mind went straight to slavery. Do you understand how vast a leap in logic one needs to take to go from talking about illegal immigrants not having a right to health care to my people were brought over here in slave ships? With the way my maybe slow mind works, I think it's statistically impossible for me to link those two things. Bakari Sellers is so committed to the grift that he associates like 1 out of every 3 words in the English language with slavery, oppression, the evil white man, etc. So when Scott said, how did immigrants come to this country? He was trying to point out a distinction between legal and illegal immigration. Bakari assumed somehow that still boggles the mind that had some connection to slavery. I mean, who am I to judge? Guess we all just look at things in our own unique way. And I just noticed now watching it, even though I watched it before, at the end, Bakari says, that was slavery. That's not immigration. Exactly. So why are you bringing it up, dipshit? But let's get a conversation going in the comments. What do we think here? What do we think about Trump and Elon? Are you siding with one of them? Are you disappointed in one of them more than the other? Think they're both justified? Let me know in the comments. Or just comment because you like me and you know it'll help me out, that whole thing. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you've never watched this long into the video, the channel currently has a goal of 20,000 subs by the end of June. It's a lofty goal. I genuinely believe if I do everything that I can and I get some help from my awesome viewership, we can do it. I know this is going to wear thin soon, but for the month of June, get used to hearing it, because I always have to point out, I never ask people to like, subscribe, anything, but I'm calling in a favor now. And so for June, like, subscribe, notification, all that stuff. Can't tell you how much I would appreciate achieving this rather lofty goal, but I do think it's a reachable goal. Got a long way to go though. And of course, if you stayed around this long in the video, I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for hearing me out. Otherwise, as always, really, really appreciate you taking a couple minutes out of your day to watch my video. I don't take it for granted. Never forget, Jesus loves you. See you guys.